Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. A seeker who was part of the recent silence retreat had written her observations for her family. Her family didn't know why she was going to be silent for 50 hours. I was reading her observations, and she had shared that her daughter, who must be 8 years old, whenever her daughter would go to see her mother, just to hold her hand or give her a hug during this retreat, because they weren't allowed to speak, she would go wearing sunglasses because she knew her mother was not allowed to make eye contact. So she would wear sunglasses to help her mother immerse herself in this silence retreat. I'm sharing this with you because, as I've been reiterating for almost 365 mornings, next week we will complete 365 mornings together. Self-development is the most tactile expression of selflessness. The more cheerful you become, the more those around you will become cheerful too. What we have been doing for almost a year of mornings, though we call this a satsanga, an association that focuses on nobility, this is also a seva sangha. I'm confident that the people you're living with, the people you're interacting with, they're happy with how happy you're becoming. When your content is that powerful, you can change your context. In verse 20, Sri Krishna reminds Prince Arjuna, na jayate na mriyate. The most authentic and deep facet of who you are is not born and will not die. This is a summary of what is known as the Shat Vikara. Shat means 6. Vikara means changes that the body goes through. Here's what they are. Asti. In English, existence. Number 2, Jayate, which is birth. Almost think of a semen and egg is like existence. And when that comes together, there is birth. Number 3, Vardhate, which means growth. Number 4, Viparinamate, which is maturation, where one is no longer growing, and that kicks into number 5, which is apakshiyate, which is decay. You've reached your peak growth, now there's almost a shrinking. And finally, vinashati, which is death. All of this only applies to the body, does not apply to the spirit. And so Shri Krishna finishes this verse by saying, na hanyate hanyamane, when the body is killed or changes or dies, the spirit is not killed, does not change, does not die. Only that which is inauthentic and shallow goes through these being killed, changing, dying. Shri Krishna is continuing. These are 20 verses that are guiding us to be authentic and deep. Verse 21. Veda vinashinam nityam yaenam ajam avyayam Katam sa purusha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. The first quarter. Veda, the one who knows. Avinashinam and Nitya. These are words we've explored already. Avinashinam, that which is indestructible. Nityam, that which is eternal. Each of these words is an indicator. In Sanskrit, we call this a lakshana, to encourage us to be more inward looking. The name Lakshmana means the one who indicates. If you were to see Sri Lakshmana, where would his eyes be? On Sri Rama, correct? He's always indicating where joy is. Imagine each of these words is like Sri Lakshmana, pointing to us where you're going to find joy. These words are not to be intellectually appreciated. They are to be reflected upon, contemplated upon, personalized. Yaenam, the one who knows the spirit, is Avinashinam and Nityam, is Ajam, which means not born, and Avyayam, which means unchanging. Two more lakshanas are given. And now I will package this for you more completely. Shri Krishna is guiding Prince Arjuna to know that he, Prince Arjuna's nature is, starting with Ajam. It is not born. Avyayam, it doesn't change. Avinashinam, it doesn't die. Thus it is Nityam. Nityam means forever. The earlier word we referenced was Purana. It is forever, yet is Shashwata, which means it's fresh. The verses we've studied, Shri Krishna is sharing, you keep going through states, waking, dreaming, sleeping. You keep going through stages, being a child, being a young adult, being an adult. You keep going through bodies. My previous lifetime, my next lifetime. All of that is becoming. There's many words for becoming that are being used, like changing, killing, dying. This is all becoming. You are not becoming, you are being. Every one of these words is indicative of being. And the most important being, the one that's hardest for us to tune into, being happiness. Being existence, yeah, I feel that. Being awareness, I know that. But being happiness, let me go to the next line. Katam sa purusha partha. Partha, katam. How? You feel that you are going to kill and be killed. How? How is this possible? The word Maya, one of the definitions of Maya that I've given you, a game of forms and names. Remember the Lego example? Another definition of Maya, that which makes the impossible as if possible. The impossible can never be possible. By definition, that's what impossible means, but it's as if possible. our nature is existence, awareness, joy. It is impossible for this to die, for this to become unknown, or for us to become sorrowful, yet we're experiencing that because we've forgotten what our authentic and deep self is. And Sri Krishna's pushing us to go inside of ourselves. Come, ghatayati hanti kam. How can any human, how can you kill? How can you be killed, or how can you kill? How? How can you be killed? How can you kill? I am a seeker like all of you, and I know we have a habit to externalize these verses that are to be internalized, especially when terminology like hanti is used. Hanti means kills. These messages have to be reflected upon, have to be practiced slowly. So here's 2 techniques for you. Here are 2 tips. In terms of being killed, this is a sense of doership. Being killed is a sense of doership. And so how do we let go of this doership? By practicing humility. And the sense of killing, this is really an expression of change, And we have a lot of fear that comes with change. So how can we reconcile this? By being courageous. So I'm going to share that last quarter one more time. Kam ghatayati hanti kam. How can you, how can I slay or be slain that which is unchanging? The equivalence of this is unkilled and unkillable. Unkilling and unkillable. We have this sense of doership, we have this fear of change, and these can be reconciled by being more humble and being more courageous. Reflect on that. I'll review again tomorrow. From inspiration to application, yesterday's application was you counting the number of times that you postponed your happiness. Any numbers from anyone? Infinity doesn't count. That's a concept. Numerous, 5, 24, constantly. Postponing happiness is a disease. This disease is called bhava roga. Roga means disease, and bhava means becoming or postponing. This disease is much more fatal than any virus. If Vivek's body dies and Vivek's body is born again, it will not be born with COVID. But the disease of postponing or becoming, when Vivek's body dies and it's born again, it will still be born with that disease. Your application for this morning. We are now in the final 2 weeks of this semester of Meaningful Mornings. And I want you to come up with a plan of what you're going to do during our pause. I haven't decided if our pause is going to be 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. You come up with a plan for what your mornings are going to be like starting on Friday, May 21st. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.